Coach.
How's it going?
What have you made of Teddy so far in the first week of camp?
I think he's done a good job. I think he's built on all the good work he did in the spring. I got great familiarity with Teddy from our time together at the Vikings, and I think he's getting better each day. Obviously Drew had an advantage to some degree as far as knowing how we focus and how we function, and Teddy's caught up, and he's doing a good job.
Have you seen any separation between both quarterbacks?
I've seen both guys getting better. This is the best version of Drew that I've seen. I think he's really done a really good job. And then I expected Teddy to come in. Teddy has got experience. He's got experience in multiple offenses, and so what we call apple, somebody else called orange. So he said, "Oh, okay, it's orange." And so we roll. And so I think Teddy's done a good job, and I think the unintended consequence of this is, sadly, teams typically need two quarterbacks to play throughout the year. So all the good work that they're getting will help both of them as we play this season out.
What Drew makes it the best version that you've seen of him?
He's just improved, and I think we're making corrections with Drew that you would make with a quarterback in the second year of a system. They're little decision-making things, or get the ball here a little quicker. You got to be a little bit careful when you're doing the math on who played well and who didn't. We may have a period with 5 plays where it's 3 runs of play action and a screen. We did a drill today where we were actually trying to throw incompletions to stop the clock. So you might say, holy smokes, that was a crappy throw, when no, that's what we were designed to do. So sadly for you guys, you don't have the scripts and you don't know the intention of our drills, but some of that happens.
Do you need to see both guys in a preseason game in order to make an evaluation?
I think preseason games are very important. I think as you go along, players need to get what they need to get ready to play the first game of the season. And I think the preseason games are valuable for all players.
How well has Javonte Williams carried over what he learned in the spring to the field now?
Yeah, he's been terrific. And, his running ability, is very obvious. But the things that we see are his instincts as a football player. Some people just get it. And then we've all been around people that just don't quite get it. They can wake up every morning and start over. He gets it. And it shows up in his pass protection. It shows up in being able to get lined up. His awareness. He's got a really bright future.
And then what about Mike Boone? What have you seen from him?
Yeah, he's an explosive guy. And again, I really wasn't around him in Minnesota. We were like two ships. And so I'm getting to know him, but very explosive. But again, very instinctive. And, he warrants some playing time in there. He's done a really good job.
Do you think the same philosophy works with both quarterbacks, or does each guy kind of need a different approach to succeed?
No, I think the way we function offensively, and I think the new age offenses, they both can go in and execute what we do. It won't be obvious to the untrained eye, but there'll be a handful of things that Teddy does better than Drew and vice versa, and those are the things we'll lean on. Because it always comes down to the plays that you run have to feature and focus the players that you have. And by working together and practicing, we get a good feel for that.
Based off what you've seen from Portland Sutton so far, what are your expectations for him, especially early in the season?
Well, I'm glad he's out there, and he's kind of grinding through it. I think he's made steady progress each day. He kind of was out there the first couple days, and then he's getting more and more reps, and then now you're seeing him making plays. And so I think it's just a progression for him. And his progression is going to be different than, say, Jerry Jeudy. But the whole idea that we're going to get them all ready to play when we open up against the Giants.
Last year, you mentioned that because there was no on-field work in the offseason, you didn't have as much time to kind of try things out, test some things. You just had to go.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have that time now to figure out what works for both?
Well, now that there's been a lot of water run under the bridge, and it is a heroic task to get an offense ready to go without an offseason. I don't wish that on anybody, especially a new one. You see the teams that were able to kind of take off early last year. They were established teams, that had a memory bank of reps that they'd run for a couple of years. Our guys fought through it. We learned from the experience. But by having a spring where you can change and tweak things, I really kind of think training camp now, you always go back to the basics, right? And it's a rhythm and a progression. You build up to a first padded day and then so on and so forth. But it really is, because everything's condensed, it's really sort of a continuation of spring. So that being said, if you don't have spring, you're missing a lot. And I think that's fair to say.
Does that mean no matter what the decision is with Teddy or Drew, that at some point, relatively soon, you do have to pick the guy to
Right.
get that amount of reps? And if that's the case, when do you think that time is?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'll let Coach answer that, and we obviously discuss the quarterback play every day, at all levels of the organization. So, it's all obviously sooner than later, but like I said, the unintended consequence, and you see the rotation of the skill players in there. When you're managing reps for some of the first string guys, they're all in there playing and they're all getting reps. So I think that's a good thing, so that when they do get in and play, and it takes the full group to play and succeed throughout the season, I think the group's benefiting from that.
Pat, in your career, what have been the biggest advantages of joint practice like this one?
Oh, I like it. I'm familiar with Zim. I was his offensive coordinator, and so we've already had a lot of conversation about how we're going to script practices and whatnot. For us, defensively, they're a little different style of defense. So, during the season, we're playing the 5-on-the-line type defenses like we face in practice. Zim's more of a 4-man front, so that gives us a good work against that. And then I think the big thing about these type practices is the coordination and the common respect, of all the coaches, so that we get the players in the right situations to get good work. I think it can be a good thing. If we get in there and we just start fighting and doing silly things, then the advantages kind of go away.
How would you evaluate the right tackle battle right now, specifically Calvin Anderson? We've seen him kind of play right and left so far.
Yeah, I think it's been good. Again, same thing. You got Bobby, you got Calvin, right? Cam. Those three guys have done a good job. And for the guy that doesn't start, he has to swing, and those guys are doing it. I feel really good about what we have in place to play right tackle. And I've been pleased with the effort and really the execution and production of all three of those guys.
Vic said it won't happen tomorrow, but he's not opposed to giving one quarterback the whole day as the first team guy and then doing the same thing the next day. Would you like to see that, just so that you can kind of script practice for a whole day with one guy?
Yeah, that's fine. It'd be a fun thing to do. I think the other guy's still going to get reps anyways. And, it's like when you put one guy in with the ones, and for whatever reason Cortland's not in there and Tim's not in there, he's actually in with the twos, so that's why I don't make too much out of it. Right now we're trying to get the whole group ready to play, and we're trying to maximize the reps of every player so that they're getting what they need to be ready to go, the opener.
Just say, okay, this is how we got two quarterbacks that are trying to be the starter, and this is what it needs to be. You're ready to come?
Yeah, to some degree. I wouldn't say I wrote that discussion down in my calendar as I did it on this day. It's pretty obvious, Rip gets it, and he's out there getting reps and making the best of it. The key for guys that are backups is to be able to go in and function with very few reps, and so that's kind of the challenge. So you get your development other ways, individual routes, whatever, and then you make the best of the reps you get. And, like last year, he was in there, and he helped us win against the Jets with not nearly as many.
Is audio on?
Exit fresh, and a compliment to a young player is that as he practices more, he gets better. So just keep competing. The guys get picked up, the line gets shorter. Just do make the very best out of each individual rep, and don't worry about anything else. And if a coach can come to that player and say, you know what, you got a lot of reps today, but when you're getting a lot of reps, you're getting better, then that player's got a chance. And so that's sort of the approach.
Thanks, Coach.